Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is episode 29 of this little podcast of ours that we put together. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys and bring to the rest of the world, sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you cry, sometimes to make you be introspective, to make you think, to make you talk. We just want to be able to open up the lines of communication and conversation. So, you know, we entertain ourselves. We think we're entertaining.
Yeah.
So we laugh.
Right.
So we figure that you guys might laugh and enjoy it as well. So it's a lot of stuff going on this week. We got to start off right off the bat. We just saw the new Chris Rock special. We didn't see it as it came on live, of course, because I think we might have been doing it.
Probably.
We was doing it, I think, when it came on live. We got to see it afterward. So we got a chance to see the special, got a chance to take it in. The internet has been abuzz for a couple of days on this special because we've been waiting to hear from Chris Rock. It's been almost a year. Well, basically a year. The Oscars is getting ready to come up, so it's basically been a year since this has happened. So everybody's been waiting to hear what he has had to say from his side of the story. And the special was the special. So we looked at it, we took it in. So let's talk about it. You know, your thoughts.
Selective outrage.
Selective outrage. So we started off, of course, you know, these comedians have these names for their specials. And sometimes at some point during their set, they will zip in the name of the special. Give you. So he worked it in pretty early, talking about selective outrage, talking about cancel culture, all those things. But, you know, we sat and we took it in. We watched it, rewound some parts and looked through some parts a couple of times, took it in. So I want to get your thoughts on selective outrage.
Well, I'm going to preface this by saying I am not necessarily a Chris Rock fan.
Okay. Well, you know about how this is going to go.
Not to the point to where I wanted to watch him get the god awful crap smacked out of him on TV.
I don't know if that smack was that hard, but I digress. We'll come to that later.
The level of embarrassment and shock took it to that point.
The stage.
It might not have been so hard, but the emotion that came after it.
Absolutely.
What made it, you know.
It was impactful.
Yeah,
it's a moment in history that will be replayed.
For sure.
Yes, over and over.
But, you know, and I am a Will Smith fan.
Yes.
Not Jay-Z.
Right.
But I am a Will Smith.
A few tiers down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my comments are going to be based from that place.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be biased, though.
All right.
I think kudos to him. He's clearly a smart businessman. I noticed that having Marlon Wayans do his stand-up the night before, I thought that was probably intentional.
For who? For Chris Rock and Marlon Wayans?
Both of them. I think they had a discussion.
Well, you know, because on Marlon Wayans' stand-up, you know, he said that the alopecia jokes were too far.
I think that they seem like they are close enough. He kept referencing him as brother, but he also said like stepbrother who actually got a problem with him. I can dig that.
Right.
Like I understand that altogether. Because you have a love, a respect for your relationship, but then it's weird. You know what I'm saying? So I totally understood where Marlon was coming from the beginning.
Okay.
But I liked him. And I like that he gave us very clear depictions of why or how he relates to Chris Rock. And then he did the same thing for Jada, and he did the same thing for Will.
Right. He put it together when we're talking about Marlon Wayans here, not Chris Rock. So I haven't gotten Chris Rock. Okay, yeah. But Marlon
it's relative to Chris, so I haven't gotten off course. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I think that Marlon did all the talking because Chris didn't need to or want to. But we needed to hear something from him. I think he recognized that. It was very smart of him to make us, he gave little nuggets here or there about, I don't need another rapper mad at me.
Right.
He gave little nuggets, so you knew he was going to talk about it, but you didn't know when, so you had to watch it.
Right.
So you were dead. Everybody who watched it sat there the entire time hoping for some piece of information that touches on what happened,
right.
which is very smart.
Right.
At the end, he said what he had to say. There was no apology, no acceptance of apology. I can dig that if that's where he is right now. But he actually seemed like he is still a little bit miffed. And I think his issue is with Jada, not necessarily Will. And I think that he feels like maybe Will went a little too far, like the rest of the world does.
Interesting that you should say that, because in watching some of the other specials, when he is going through something particularly in his personal life and is weaved into his set, you can still see the anger that's there. Like, you know, one of the last specials that he did was happening when he was getting his divorce. And he was very critical of his wife. To me, and this could just be me, I feel like Chris Rock has a problem with black women.
Come on, preach. Come on, preach.
If you go back and you kind of look at his stand-up and you kind of look at his jokes and you kind of look at this long-standing issue that he's had with Jada that went to another level because of what Jada did, talking about his divorce, talking about what happened, talking about what's going on in the dating scene, I don't know if he has a real love for black women. Now, yeah, he did the piece on, you know, the black hair. I'm Not My Hair, whatever the documentary was, and that was cool. So to a degree, you know, I think that's in him, but I think that there's a deeper issue there that he has with black women, and he can kind of tell in the jokes and the intensity of the jokes, because the Jada jokes got super intense, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, did Jada slap him or did Will slap him?
His anger is with Jada, very clearly with Jada. I think he was, you know, I mean, he feels like anybody would feel whose husband smacks him, but his issue is with Jada. I think he feels like she created it. He kept saying she started it, you know, and his point is, I ain't letting up till I let up, you know, which is usually okay, except then you pissed off Will too. So, you know, but I think, you know, kudos to him. What I'm hopeful for is that it was enough for them to find their way back to brotherhood, because I think it did exist somewhere, somehow. So I'm hoping that him getting that off his chest will bring them back to that place. And I actually think that it was probably therapeutic for him to be able to say those things, because he didn't say them for us. He said them for himself, I believe. And I think he was intentional about not talking a whole lot about it. He basically gave us okay, y'all want to hear from me? Here you go. He gave it when he got ready to give it. He also said why he thinks the problem exists from his perspective. And he also said, if you want to know why I haven't done this or said anything up to this point, here's why. Those are the three basic things that we needed from him. He gave them and he shut his show down, and that was that. I respect it.
I have a modicum of respect for it, because of course you get to tell your side. Everybody gets to tell their side. I feel like, first of all, he wasn't waiting until he was ready. I think he was waiting until that bag was secured from Netflix, because Netflix gave him an actual live special. Netflix very rarely
I don't know if I've ever seen that before,
where they do it live. There's been a couple of instances where they have not stand up, but, you know, they've done some concerts and some other things where, you know, they were broadcast live. I haven't seen a stand-up special done live. I think he was waiting for the bag to be secured, because everybody in the world was waiting for him to tell his side of the story. I don't think he's had a chance to heal from it. I do think that his issue is with Jada, because he continuously went in on Jada and what she did, and the cheating scandal with August Alsina, and coming on the Red Table Talk and all of those things. And I thought that was an issue. You don't get to decide how a couple works through their issues. You don't get to decide how a couple communicates through their issues. A lot of people have a problem with Jada talking to Will and admitting that she cheated on him. A lot of people have an issue with that. But if they're cool with it, and we don't know really what the state of their marriage is because it's always been a mystery. But I think at the end of the day, your vitriol is aimed at Jada and her being mad at you because you took a job when she felt like you should have been standing for Will and quitting the job, which is stupid at the end of the day. But I expect somebody's wife to do that. Unless
they super cool and she felt like she could say that to him. Because if you just a regular, ordinary person, yeah, that would be idiotic for you to expect him to do that. But if y'all have a cool relationship, and we've seen pictures of them being way younger together. So clearly they have some kind of relationship.
If I'm super cool with you, and we talking about the level of super cool where you as my wife say, I feel like you should not have taken that job because they were doing this to my husband, I don't know if I'm slapping you in public if we super cool.
Well, maybe
in private.
All of the issues that have happened between them happened since that. That's what sparked it off. Jada's comment. So Chris Rock says. And Will mentioned that he had several times before asked Chris not to talk about Jada.
The alopecia.
Yeah. So there have not to talk about Jada, period. Okay. That's how I understand it.
Okay.
So there has been something brewing. This did not true enough, Will lost himself, but his reaction was that of a straw breaking the camel's back. Because there had been several other instances before. So he says.
He blacked out.
Yeah, he got that angry that he lost himself. But still, at the end of the day, I just kind of hope it's over for. I don't really care about it. I mean, I don't. I'm not really very invested in it anymore. My level of concern about how Chris Rock handles this is, he's rich. He say he rich, so these are what you said last week. Rich people problems. They don't touch us. So
yeah.
Good luck to him. Good luck to him. Good luck to Will and Jada on their healing experience. But I do agree with you. He's clearly still very traumatized by it, and it takes how long it takes to heal from something. It doesn't matter how old you are when it happened or how long you've been dealing with it. Healing takes as long as it takes.
Yeah.
You just have to be, participatory in the process and willing to heal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's yet at the point that he's willing to heal. It seems like he's still doing the blame game and maybe having a difficult issue understanding their position. You got to be able to put yourself in the other person's position, even if they hurt you.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, I'm sure he'll get over it. Maybe a year is maybe too soon. Maybe the wound is still fresh. Clearly, there's going to have to be a sit down and conversations going to have to take the place of back and forth. I think, Will is probably done discussing it. He's gone on kind of like his apology tour. He's starting to come back up into the public eye after this is over with. In a few years, of course, we'll be talking about it. It'll be coming up, but it won't be talked about as much. People waiting for Chris Rock to say his piece. And just thinking about it, we know how Chris Rock looked before he got money.
I mean, he don't look.
He looks a little bit different than he did. We know what Pookie in New Jack City and Let Me Get One Rib from I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. We know what Chris Rock looked like before he had money. Maybe there's an issue there because he wasn't getting a lot of play because he looked like that. Maybe he has a problem with black women. Maybe he felt shunned by that section of the community.
That happens to a lot of men.
Yeah, and now that he has money, he's able to kind of move around and do what he wants to do. So he's able to kind of get a little get back. Yeah. Now at this point, which he talked about dating in the stand up. He talked about his kids, being spoiled. A lot of it for me, Chris Rock did say this on The Husbands of Hollywood. His audience is like a pop crossover white audience. a lot of the people who were defending the special and defending him, saying what he said about, Will and Jada, and how hard he was going in. A lot of those were white folks on the internet. I saw a comment and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Someone was saying that, they're not buying Chris Rock saying that he was not going to fight another black man in front of white folks. And the comment was, we need to stop this idea that white folks are some type of moral standard to look up to the point of where we always feel like we have to act a certain way because white folks are in the room. So let me get your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. No diggity, no doubt. no diggity,
Black Street.
No doubt. I'm talking about F that. Especially if your only reason for not reacting, you were able to completely hold your composure because you were in the room with white folks.
Right.
That's, baby. Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't like that shit.
I don't like that.
I don't like that shit.
Ooh, I didn't even.
Shouts out to Belly in this thing.
Come on, man. That ain't cool. That ain't cool at all. So yeah, I agree with that comment.
I mean, and it's telling at the end of the day because, if that's your reason for not retaliating at the end of the day, is it because you didn't want to fight another black man in front of white folks? Or was it because you were afraid of what your main audience of white folks would think if you fought back?
That's it. If we can deduce that his fan base is mostly white, then he don't want to piss them off and make them think of him as black. They think of him as a funny comedian.
Right.
You get to fight with Will Smith in the Oscars. Will gonna trump you in white support.
That's true.
So you gonna be the black guy. Then that's gonna be a problem.
Well, I saw a lot of white folks that abandoned their love of Will Smith because he was loved.
They'll be back. He just need to put out a movie. That's not Emancipation. That ain't gonna get him back. But all he needs to do is put out a happiness. What is it? Pursuit of Happiness type of movie. They'll be back.
Which we haven't seen, Emancipation, by the way.
We haven't. We should watch it. I know you hate slave movies.
I hate slave movies.
I have to be in the right mind frame for him.
We know. And, he says this is not really a movie about slavery. It's a love story. But, the slavery is...
Well, you don't like either.
I mean... Touche. You have a point there. So you want to put a slavery movie and a love story in the same movie. Chances are I'm not going to really
I got to say the nay no, my brother.
Yes, I have to say the nay no to that. But, I just think we've done enough slave movies. I think everybody gets it. I think we get it.
If you're going to introduce any element of newness, I'm cool with it. But just retelling the same stories over and over again, and I do understand that there's some, culpability on our part to make sure our stories are told and told in a good way, in a way that it brings information. So I really don't mind them. I just have to be in the proper space for them.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to regain that proper space since The Help. I'm still mad at The Help.
Let me tell you something. The Help
still mad.
Traumatized a lot of people.
Color Purple was hard. I was traumatized for a little while over Color Purple, but the Help, that was something totally different.
You got The Help, you got the Color Purple. Those are the old school joints that you can get to. You can always go back and look at Roots, but then the new Harriet Tubman, a new Emmett Till movie, all of those movies that have come out. It's like just taking the scab off of a wound over and over and over again.
But you know what? If that wound was healed, it wouldn't be a problem.
Man, what you talking about?
The wound ain't healed. Mm-hmm. So we need to heal.
That's true.
As a people, we need to heal.
And I don't know if we heal
and we
by
can't
continuing
heal.
Yeah,
go ahead.
By continuing to show those movies again. And I know in a lot of instances, Hollywood is shelling out money, which is odd. We're going to shell out money for you to keep doing these slave movies. You know what I'm saying? Will got fronted a lot of money to do this Emancipation movie for him to portray a slave. Like, there's other stories and other narratives that we have in the black community besides us being slaves. and us being boys in the hood and dope boys and having
I
to
mean,
get
but
out of those
Will don't
situations.
always just do that.
Well, there was the Best Man series in the movies. I'll give you that. They gave an idea into where I feel more along the lines of where black folk are in society right now, although I just wasn't a huge fan.
Because it was about love and friendship.
I mean,
and emotion.
but
But
trying to paint me as an emotionless monster.
Another thing we got to do is what Chris Rock hasn't done and accept the fact that white people are just people, not superior.
Special people.
Not superior people. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that we need to heal from, because that is a response to a generational thing that has been just kind of passed down from generation to generation, that we are not as good as white people and we have to act a certain kind of way in order to be acceptable. That, my friends, is bull crap.
It's bullshit.
It's
we
bull.
Can cuss on here.
It's bull crap. Okay? Mm-hmm. You are just as good, if not better. And I said what I said.
If you are, have that same restraint when you're in a room full of black people.
Yeah, if you do that, then that's fine. Because you are saying basically you're not going to pull me down to a point to where I'm finna act a fool in front of anybody.
Yes, say that you were raised to not act a fool in public.
Yeah.
Don't say you was raised to not act like that in front of white people.
In front of white folks. I almost missed that, baby.
When you got a room full of white folks in here that you telling these jokes to, and then you drop the mic and walk off, and the white people are like, yeah, you black shouldn't fight in front of us.
Like they the principal and we the students.
Like they are the moral compass. They're not the moral compass of the world in order to be able to do that.
Not my world.
Right. And then
maybe his world.
This point that we missed on, he did the special in Baltimore, which is Jada's hometown, which makes it a little extra sassy for me.
It's pretty sassy
to do it in Baltimore. That was all by design.
Yep.
At the end of the day. And fairly saying he has the opportunity to get his get back. He waited. He has the right to respond in the manner that he wants to respond. And Will, having been the person who slapped him, has to kind of sit and take what happens.
I don't expect Will to ever say anything. I don't need a response from him regarding what Chris Rock said. He should ignore that and keep on. He has said everything he needs to say. At the last time he spoke, he said he was waiting on Chris to feel comfortable and ready to speak to him. He should keep waiting, however long that take.
Yes.
He don't need to call him back. He don't need to beg. He don't need to do anything. He stated his piece. He was apologetic. He took his time. I think he did. I think he worked on healing. And I think he should be done with it. Let Chris now do whatever he needs to do to get over it.
Yeah.
And I think this might be an opportunity for them to release each other, because it's probably not a healthy situation, especially from how much toxicity is between him and Jada. So it's probably best, is maybe universal alignment, that they are not connected anymore. So they probably should just go their own separate ways, because obviously there's a lack of respect somewhere, whether it's from Chris to Jada or Jada to Chris, and by default Will. But there is a lack of respect that's necessary for a healthy relationship, even friendship.
That's true. That's true. And speaking of healing, but of course, before I get to that, if you are listening to us right now or you're just tuning in, of course, According to Kaz Queen is available on all streaming services. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple Music, Google Podcast, Amazon Music as well, on Buzzsprout. And of course, you can listen to us on Black with No Chaser Radio. All right. So make sure that you download the BWNC radio app, Black with No Chaser. Go to blackwithnochaser.com and just check out the site in general. But you can check us out as part of the lineup on Black with No Chaser Radio. And if you like seeing our bright, shiny faces, which we appreciate everybody who has, of course, all you got to do, you know what time it is. Boom, right there. All right. Make sure that you follow that YouTube page. Subscribe right now. Go right now and subscribe to that YouTube page. All right. And make sure you turn on the notifications, man, so you can watch us, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You can come in here and check us out. This is brought to you by Kaz and Queen, of course, Hourglass Media Group, all right, Queen Franklin's Closet, Hey Thor, and the Kundi Collection, all right? And
Which shirts we're wearing.
Yes. By the way, this is the Kundi Collection. We have the wonderful Locked and Loaded, What's Good, which
Locked and Loaded, What's Good.
Locked and Loaded for the beautiful locks that are right here. Yeah.
So all you locticians out there and people thinking about locking your hair and people already rocking the locks, get at us.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Locked and Loaded, What's Good.
Right, www.kundicollective.com. That's www.kundicollective.com. Check us out. Of course, this is the little Africa right here. Of course, Mississippi is the birthplace of America's music and the cradle of civilization for black folk in this country, man. So we call this Little Africa. This shirt is available as well at www.kundicollective.com. Check them out when you get a chance to. But speaking of, healing, got to talk about this incident with Micheal B. Jordan. We have not seen Creed 3 yet. Probably going to go check it out at some point. The movie is out. Everybody's enjoying it. Had a really big rollout for this movie starring him and Jonathan Majors. In the third installment of the Creed series, he was on the red carpet before the movie came out recently, I think in the last week or so. And one of the people interviewing him was someone that he went to high school with, who at one time in high school had called him corny. And, he was walking around with his headshots in his backpack, and he was a little skinny, spry kid trying to get into Hollywood and get his acting game on. I think shortly after he left Hollywood high school, he got on The Wire and started his career acting on The Wire. I think it kind of overlapped a little bit, and he saw her on the red carpet. She introduced herself and reminded him that they went to high school together, and he was very familiar who she was and knew who she was, and intimated to the fact that you called me corny when he was in high school, and now look at you. So there was a series of back and forth and differentiating opinions on how he should have handled that situation. Some people said good for him. You got people like Joe Budden and a couple of other people that said that he was whack for doing that as well. But speaking to someone that has talked about, your junior high and high school experiences, and I have experiences as well, and as parents, we have gone through that with our kids as well. Micheal B. Jordan, years later, on the red carpet, talking to an old classmate who called him corny, and now those tables had turned. How would you have handled that?
If I was her? Or just...
Let's take both roles on. Let's say that you are Micheal B. Jordan. Let's say, Queen is doing her thing and you're getting interviewed by somebody who went to high school with you and the same situation applied. How do you handle that situation?
I probably wouldn't have said anything. I wouldn't have took that moment to address her about it.
Okay.
I personally probably wouldn't. But I don't take away from his desire to do it. I think it's a very telling sign that he is still bothered by that. Mm-hmm. It's probably been a thing that he has carried with him forever, kind of like me being called fat, and not liking the word. I'm just not getting around to the point where I could actually say F-A-T out of my mouth.
Right.
And that was something that I just carried with me. And the people who used it and said it, I can remember every single solitary time they said it to me. Every single one. You remember every person? Every person, every time that they said it. I could still feel the emotion, the embarrassment, the wanting to completely erase myself and disappear in that moment. It's not an easy thing to heal from. So the people who are saying what he should do and what he didn't do and if it was right and if it was wrong, I would challenge you to put yourself in his shoes and think about a time where something has hurt you like that.
Right.
If you cannot identify that, then you'll never understand why he did it. Maybe you wouldn't handle it that way. I personally don't think that anybody would have been able to take my shine away from the achievement of why we were there. Because he basically gave her a whole new leg. People talking about L'Oreal or Lornell or whatever her name is more than she's ever been talked about before.
I forgot that she was on Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
She tried to rap and that did not work.
She didn't last past the first she was on there one season because there was nothing about her that was interesting.
Right.
So, but she found a way, some other way to make a life for herself. You got to prop her out for that. She out here trying. She says that she never called him corny. She was just around people who did. That man, as I just said, I can tell you everybody that has ever said that to me that hurt me, shit. That man know. He know. And he was not finna let her poo-poo that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if I was her,
right,
I would have said in response to the very first comment when he said, "Oh, I'm corny, right?" and laughed. That laugh was it don't matter what you finna say in response to what I'm saying. I want you to know that I know you call me corny. That's all that was
now,
for.
How you handle it in this moment
is up to you.
What's gonna be
but he didn't care how she handled it. She could have said anything to him at that moment. All that was important to him in that moment was that he knew who she was and what she did to him, and hoped that she felt a little crazy behind it. But if I was her, I probably would have said, "I don't recall calling you corny, but if I did, I apologize, and I'm very proud of you, black man."
She kind of said that.
No, she said she didn't do it.
Yeah.
She said, "I ain't never called you corny. We go all the way back, blah, 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 blah." That made it worse.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, accept, adjust.
Okay.
She made it worse by saying she didn't do it. He know you did it. You might have forgotten because it wasn't significant to you. But it was very significant to that man. And I've heard people saying it's not that bad. You know, people have gotten bullied worse. Please stop doing that.
That's crazy.
We got to stop doing that, y'all. Because even if it's one word as opposed to somebody getting abused or somebody who, like Viola Davis, who had to wear clothes to school that she had to, urinated in, that's huge. That's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't make being called corny less of a deal if it affected him the same way or hurt him in any way. It hurted him and probably gave him the ammunition and motivation he needed to be the person that we know him to be today. So actually, he could thank her and her friends for giving him the motivation, but he's not healed enough to do that.
Yeah.
It'll come one day, though.
So it was disappointing to see people saying that it wasn't that serious. And when I saw those comments, I knew instantly that these were people who were never bullied.
Or probably were bullies.
Or probably were the bullies. Because as someone who started out in school getting bullied because of the darkness of my skin.
Your beautiful black skin.
You know what black is in now. You know, when I was in elementary school, kind of near the end there.
Y'all wasn't hot.
We wasn't hot. You know what I'm saying? Back then, they didn't want me.
Light skin was winning.
Light skin was in. Like, man, let me tell you, I'm not going to get a year, but it was that time you was light skin. You come in with your collar up, your collar starched up with the, you know what I'm saying?
Baby, you crazy.
You come in there all light-skinned with your mustache looking like El DeBarge coming into school, looking like all the DeBarges. If you look like a DeBarge, you was finna get some love at the time. So I hope that's not really, you know what I'm saying?
But when it made the flip, it never went back.
It didn't go back.
It's been all black.
Yeah, it's been all black all the time since then. And I don't know how it flipped. I just know one day it flipped, and then the chicks was like, hey.
It was some celebrities. Yeah. Wesley Snipes, I don't know, some other ones. Wesley Snipes was one of them, though.
Wesley Snipes was in there. I mean, that's the go-to when you want to say when the switch flipped. But he was one of them. It was go-to. It went in there. But, it started then. It flipped. And then the next thing you know, women were like, hey, dark skin. Okay.
I've always liked dark skin. My whole entire life. And my daddy was light.
He was. Mm-hmm. He was.
But my mama was beautifully chocolate.
Having dealt with that, us again being parents and having, to raise kids in this new day and age, you yourself, with all the stuff that you went through, there are folks that are listening to us that are right now in their adult years that are still dealing with the trauma that came with them being bullied. Bullying was not just being jumped on and pushed around and physically bullied, but bullying now is not just even mental anymore. Now it is going online. It's cyberbullying. So we have people that are doing it. There are people that are traumatized behind this. There are
people actually kill themselves
Yes.
behind words.
We have a lot of kids now, and it's a crazy phenomenon that I hate, but you've got 12, 13, 14-year-old kids killing themselves, 9, 10-year-old kids. How do you even have the concept of killing yourself? But they're killing themselves because they can't go to school and face other kids, and they have been bullied to the point, and then the schools do nothing, the teachers do nothing. At the end of the day, there's really no recourse to stop a bully from being able to get to you unless you end up standing up for yourself and you end up whooping their ass, which, has happened in a lot of instances when people have been pushed against the wall. But to say that Micheal B. Jordan should be over it,
it's so dismissive and rude.
It is. It's really rude. Being rich does not dismiss that trauma.
Being fine and being wanted by women does not take away from it. That is something that he carries with him. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that the him that we see is because he was affected by that. It clearly is something that he has to work through. It's clearly something that has always been something he had to work through. I have no doubt in my mind that that's what he utilized to catapult him into greatness. Mm-hmm. And that's good. Mm-hmm. But you still have to also heal from it. Right. And you can tell that he has not that he hadn't done any healing, but you can tell that it's still on him, because when he saw her, his mind went right back
he was like, I can't
being
wait.
In junior high.
I can't. You could see the look on his face when she started asking him that question. That face was like, oh man, I can't wait till you get to the period on this sentence.
It would be just like a girl who had been dogging a guy out and wouldn't give him the time of day until he got some money, and then she all on his job. That's what that moment felt like to him. And if everything that he said and she said is true, or at least to the point to where there was something that happened, that man cannot be judged for how he manages that. Yeah. We can't judge how long it takes for him to heal. We can't judge whether it's something he needs to heal from or not. We can't do any of that. That is him, his life experience, his soul, his shadow work. That is him. So for us to make any kind of judgments about how serious it is, it's irresponsible, it's not compassionate, and it does not promote healing. So stop.
It doesn't.
Don't do that to people. Don't do that. If I tell my husband all the time, just because your intention wasn't to hurt me don't mean you didn't.
I'm learning that.
You know what I'm saying? So just because her intention was to make a joke, be funny, she didn't mean it, don't mean it didn't hurt him. Don't mean it didn't traumatize him. Doesn't mean that it was a small thing for him. He gets to have those feelings.
Right. And having money does not dismiss that. Having money and fame, we know plenty of rich and famous people who have killed themselves. We know plenty of rich and famous people who are seeing therapists right now. Fame and money does not dismiss trauma.
Nor does time passing.
Right.
Just because it's been a whole lot of time, if you haven't intentionally went in there and sought after your healing, it could be just like the very day that it happened. Every day thereafter. And
it's so easy to say it's easy for you to tell someone else in that manner, you shouldn't let this bother you, or it shouldn't be this and it shouldn't be that. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've had to learn it as well in a lot of issues, not in the bullying sense, because I'm very sensitive to that, but just in how you treat other human beings in relationships, saying things like you shouldn't be mad at that, or that shouldn't bother you, or how people, use this cancel culture now and say to people that you shouldn't be bothered by a joke. You shouldn't be bothered by what Chris Rock said. Well, first of all, I don't understand this new thing in society now where people are in such a hurry or are so anxious to insult people. I've never seen this before. Like, everybody is just gung-ho. I want to be able to insult people. I want to be able to talk about people. I want to be able to joke on people and hurt their feelings so much, and they shouldn't take it so serious, and they should be able to handle it. And that's not the case, because you made a joke about somebody and said he was corny, and at the time it was funny, and I have done the same thing. I know there's a lot of people when I was in school that I call corny, nerds, geeks, all of those things. And at the very least, I know now if I saw any of them, I have been apologetic to a lot of people. You know, when people are adults, they are different people than they were in high school. High school is but a small part of your journey in life, you know, and we all get into those things.
There can be an argument for it shapes your life. High school, your high school experience, whether good or bad, can shape your life.
It can.
Whether it turns out good or bad. You know, those are junior high too. Those are important years. That's when you're figuring out who you are. Imagine somebody coming in while you're trying to figure out who you are and tell you that you corny. And it looks like everybody agrees with them.
And
that's difficult.
People are laughing at you.
They laughing at you. Mm-hmm. That's difficult. And I've always felt like he had some sort of disconnection from people, the way he presents himself. Mm-hmm. And now I understand why. He probably has difficulty trusting people at face value. You got to earn that spot with him. Mm-hmm. And he carries himself that way. And he's real standoffish.
And I can guarantee you the people who were cool with him, who, you know, encouraged him and did not make fun of him, I can guarantee you he remembers who those people are too.
I wouldn't put money on it. But really? He probably remembers the ones who were bad to him.
Oh, absolutely. I think he remembers everyone and remembers the names and all of that. I think he does.
Kids are cruel. Y'all, if y'all got cruel kids, check them.
Yeah.
Because they out here ruining people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, we living in the social media age where there are not the same repercussions for the things that you do and say that it used to be when we were younger. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't just say stuff to people's faces without expecting to get dealt with, you know.
Dealt with.
But now you can say anything you want to online at any point.
Right.
You know, which
anonymously or otherwise.
Yeah, and it's trickling over into real life because people got the balls to say these things online. So now we've become detached from the soul connections that we used to have, which is creating what you were mentioning earlier, this real rude, say anything without any feeling and don't care if you hurt people's feelings. I blame social media. I think it was the creation of social media that made us get to the point to where we are not personally and soulfully connected to each other.
Social media has created a disconnect for the people who need to have their ass whooped. Social media has provided a buffer, it's provided space, it's provided a cover for people who should get their ass whooped. Because in former times, when there was an issue and this happened and you were rude and you insulted somebody, you got your ass whooped. And I can guarantee you it straightened up a whole lot of shit. And nowadays, because people can actually remotely from any location can say anything they want to out of their mouth about people, and then come back and say, you know, fuck cancel culture. We should be able to say what we want to say, and people are so sensitive. I want to be able to have the right to say something, you know, low down and dirty and insulting about someone, and that person should just take it. They should just take it and they should just accept it and they should be cool with it. No, what should happen is that person should be able to hear you say what you need to say, and you should have to face that person in person and possibly get your ass whooped. And that would curb a lot of the ass whoopings, you know, are, you know, the percentage of, you know, situations that ass whoopings have fixed is very high. It's in the high 80s, at least 87, 88% of incidents that ended in ass whoopings were situations that were resolved and fixed at that moment. And I don't know if that number is accurate, but I know that the number is very high. The number of people who have said insulting things, and then got their ass whooped, you know, the instances of them coming back and saying insulting things afterward was very low.
Yeah.
After it happened. Yeah. So
they don't fight no more though. They want to shoot.
They don't.
Kill.
They're shooting right off the bat. You know, they don't really have hands anymore. But
life just don't mean the same to people.
It doesn't
these days as it once did.
It doesn't. But you know, I hope Micheal B. Jordan has immense success. I think that red carpet interaction, I think, helped to propel the movie a little bit.
Can we also talk about the fact that being smart or eccentric maybe
eccentric
is
quirky
now being called corny? Because back in the day when we used corny, it was for a different reason. I think I don't know what she thought or what people are thinking is corny as it relates to him, but back in the day corny was like lame. just kind of like
There's a lot of different definitions.
you didn't really fit in with everybody.
Right.
Now there is a place for those people because you can fit in anywhere. You just got to find your tribe.
Well, it's a new day and age now. The people that code, the people that code and do computer programs and they're really good at fixing computers, they used to be nerds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
it
now,
used to be that they didn't get no play.
Right.
But now it's a whole shit ton of folks who only date those dudes.
The coders are getting a lot of ass these days. And, the computer guys, the trying to be actors, the thespians, the poets, the guys that play the acoustic guitar under the tree and do their songs. The people that dress crazy, with the crazy clothes.
The goth people. Everybody has a tribe.
Everybody has a tribe now, which I think is cool at the end of the day. And I think it just shows that, times have evolved.
We just got to stop being so irresponsible with other people's feelings. We cannot continue to be the type of society that does not care about how we making people feel. Mm-hmm. That is detrimental to our successful life experience.
Yeah, it is. So, moving on, something very pivotal in our parental lives. We share with you guys a lot of times what happens, with us personally. We're very transparent with you guys because we're not perfect. We have failings as parents, as husband and wives. And we talk about these things because I found that we talk about this a lot. And when we post about it a lot, there are people who can relate to our struggles. Yeah. And, this past weekend, we had parents that we met. The little one turned 13 this past week on Friday. And we had a sleepover, the first sleepover at a hotel. Overnight sleepover with friends from school, and these were friends who we didn't know. She has friends in the neighborhood and friends that are kids of our friends. They get together, and this was our first time doing it, and we had the sleepover, and we stayed at the hotel, and we made a thing of it, and there was a lot of anxiety, and it turns out there was a lot of anxiety from all of the parents, not just this mom and this dad right here, particularly this mom in this case, who's usually in a lot of these instances the level head in this department when it comes to the kids. I get a lot of anxiety when it comes to the kids, even the grown ones. But in this particular instance, there was a level of anxiety with the moms in this, and the moms that we met, and saying all of them said the same thing: we don't do this often. Or at all. Mm-hmm. This is her first time. All the ones, this is their first time us allowing them to go and do something like this with somebody else. And, it was almost like they were letting the weight off of their shoulders, to find that tribe of moms who are saying, hey, we got to try this. But it's just weird because we're in that day and age now where people are really suspicious of, and there's trepidation in doing the things that we used to do like it was nothing. Yeah. Almost when we were young.
Yeah, for sure. So the reason why I think, and I guess it's okay to speak to this, the reason why I think I was having so much anxiety this go round didn't really have as much to do with it being the first sleepover that she had. She hosted. She put everything together. She told me what she wanted. She told me how she wanted to do it. I did nothing except provided her what she asked for. Mm-hmm. She had an idea, and that's what we went with. But for me, you got to remember that I lost my dad at 13. Mm. The anniversary of the day he died is March the 9th, which is around the corner. So, and also in addition to that, with my son, I remember specifically somewhere in my spirit, I buried this idea, and it's just kind of been lingering. 13 was the last year that he was my baby. Mm-hmm. So I kind of associated all of that with her becoming 13, losing my dad at 13, losing her, that innocence, that like she's a full-on teenager. I could it's almost like it happened on her birthday, that she turned into a different person. It was just immediate. So many things about her changed in the last 3 days. So it was a lot. I've been processing a lot, and I have not cried about it. And I know that that's going to happen, and it probably needs to happen in order for me to release the anxiety. But it wasn't just that. I mean, there was a lot of newness and a lot of shifts that happened. So, you know, it always takes me a minute to sit with things and to process things. But I know that it's ringing a little different. My abuser's birthday is today. So this week, March, the first week of March, second week of March has been difficult for a plethora of reasons. So of course my anxiety level was a little higher than it usually is, but she did a great job. She did a great job of putting it together, selecting some very responsible people to call friends. The mothers were, like you said, they all had the same concerns that we have. We didn't have anybody who, you know, wasn't on the same page. Everybody was hesitant, but believed in our children enough to know that they can be trusted, because that's really ultimately what it boiled down to. The kids had to make their parents feel comfortable with us.
Right.
And they did. And, you know, we were able, you know, I'm going to do my very best, my very level best to make sure they know who we are as parents.
Right.
So we did that, and I think it ended up being pretty good.
I think it went well. You know, there was anxiety, I guess, in the beginning, but, you know, as parents, you can only do the best that you can do. We were present. The other parents got to see us, you know, present and being a part of this. You know, we were there, we were accessible. The other kids got to see us as parents, as a united front, mom and dad coming in, taking different shifts, coming in and checking on things. And I think that was important as well. And I think they will go back and tell their moms that this happened. And I think that helps to foster some trust. It's just unfortunate that, you know, I remember having sleepovers. I remember going to sleepovers, and I remember there being 7, 8 guys when we would go spend the night over one of our, you know, our homies' houses, or, you know, having it at our house. And it was a conversation with the parents in a lot of instances. Some instances, it was like the kid is like, drop me off over here, and they come and get dropped off. But it was a different day and age now. You can't just leave kids with anyone. You can't have them around anyone. And you're finding a lot of parents that, you know, no, I'm not doing the sleepover thing, or no, I'm not doing this, or even dropping them off at the skating rink or dropping them off here. It's just not the same anymore. And it's unfortunate because you can't really foster the community that you need to foster. The relationship with the parents can't be there to create this community because everybody's, I don't know about these folks. It's kind of, I don't know, you know.
Well, that was one thing that we did. I think we are more seasoned parents than the parents of kids our age.
Right.
So I think that the one thing that we did that may not happen all the time in these cases is that we required a conversation with the parents.
Absolutely.
We required, I need to talk to her mama. Braylon had, TLO had all the answers that she needed from the friend.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good enough, boo. Because you could tell your friends all day long, I'm coming, I'm going, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But if you don't get our permission,
right,
you ain't said nothing.
Right.
So we figured that her friends are probably doing their parents the same way. So it was important for us to have a dialogue with these parents. I think that helped a lot because we had one mother who was just, we could still see her when she picked her kid up. She was still like, she had major anxiety.
Right.
So
just had no idea what could possibly have happened. I have given my kid to someone else, And are they going to take care of my child like I would?
Yeah.
And I think that's the same level of concern we have when we drop the little one off. I think that's the same level of concern that any parent that's really parenting is going to have. And then, you know, we've talked about this, you know, because we have raised 3 grown kids, and we've talked about, you know, the pitfalls and the peaks and the valleys of doing that and just trying to get it right. You're so concerned with not making a mistake. You're so concerned with getting it right. You're so concerned with not putting your kid in harm's way, because now you don't know what you're getting into, that, you know, when you're on the other side of that and you've got parents looking at you, hoping that you are doing what you're supposed to do. We were just making sure that we were taking every step. The anxiety of getting in the group chat with the other parents. You know, I had anxiety because I don't know how these other parents are going to respond. Are they going to respond? Are they going to care?
Well, I just treated them like I would have wanted to be treated if they was inviting my daughter to something.
Yeah.
I want to talk to the mama.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what they doing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if I need to send money. I need to know what time I need to pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, are you dropping them off? Like, I just handled them the way I would if their daughter was inviting ours to something.
And you did an excellent job. When the numbers came in and the baby brought you the numbers to make the group chat, and you was like, I got it, baby, I'm going to take care of it. Because at first I was like, I might have to make these calls. And you was like, no, I got it. You took the numbers and you got all of that together, because, you know,
you was already in panic mode.
You know, you know how we are with people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't generally just gel with people in general, humans in general. So
just in general.
Yeah. So, you know, that calling people and contacting folks, you know, I was like, I wonder how this is going to go. And it went well for the first time. They had a good time. Everything was good.
She got a good group of friends.
Yes.
It could have been terrible if it wasn't this, you know, if it was another group. She got a good group of friends.
I think we were vital. It was vital that we, you know, told her to, you know, limit it to people who you know you're cool with. Even if that's 2 people.
Well, I don't think she was going to go any other route. She's very particular about her space as well.
Which is
and the
good.
space that she spends with people.
Which is good, because sometimes that goes bad for kids. There's been a lot of incidents where the sleepovers went bad because, you know, people were just around because they wanted to be around.
Yeah.
And, you know, those things didn't go well. So I think we got through it this first sleepover at an off-site that wasn't here. You know, got through it, got over it. We can breathe a sigh of relief now. 13 is over with, so we got a year to...
13 just getting started, boo.
Yeah, I mean, well, the
party.
Celebration.
The celebration,
13 is over with, so now she's...
Because, baby, if the swiftness of the shift is any inclination, this is going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, we're going to see. And on that note, we appreciate you guys for tuning in with us again, man. We enjoy having these conversations. Like I said, we think we're a hoot, so we like to bring these conversations to you guys. Conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys in the public sphere for you to laugh, cry, be introspective, all that good stuff. Make sure you're checking us out on all streaming services, on YouTube and on Black with No Chaser Radio. Make sure you check us out next week for the next episode. You know, Tuesday night, 7 p.m., subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see us, and you'll be able to chat with us in real time. All right, leave your questions and your comments, man. Make sure you go out and check out all the other episodes that are up on the YouTube channel. So,